Hey, we're back at the top again today with the final type to fix. Way back in 2016, we went over all 18 types, and long story short, I don't like some of the fixes I chose, so I feel like we need to remaster this series and come up with something even better. This is now the 18th and final video in this remastered series, so if you missed any of the other videos, check the link in the description below. Today's type is none other than the fairy type, the newest type, also one of the strongest, but it does have its own faults, so we should fix that. But it's time to dazzle the competition. Let's find out how Pokemon Sword and Shield can fix the fairy type. Did you know that the fairy type only has one physical move? Yeah, I know. We had this problem last generation, and it was never addressed. And yet, here we are again asking for it to be resolved. You added more fairy type moves, yet they were all special in status. Well, except for the Z move, but that's an exception because Z moves suck. Anyway, you cannot tell me that Play Rough is the only move that fairies can do on the physical side. That legit makes no sense. Why are we limiting the physical fairies? When you can expect Play Rough 1000% of the time on Pokemon like a Azumarill, it gets a little telling on how good the variety is. All I'm saying is Play Rough should not be the only physical fairy move. I've mentioned disparity like this in past videos, but this one really takes the cake. Not only does the fairy type have one physical move in Play Rough, but they still don't have a move over 100 base power. I know, the fairy type is new, so it does make sense. And before anyone brings up Light of Ruin or Floor Cannon, well, one, the first move isn't even released yet, as it was the signature move of the Eternal Flower Floette, and Floor Cannon is Magearna's signature move. The whole point is, they were pushing this type so hard, from introducing it in Generation 6 to filling things out in Generation 7, and yet still no 100 or more base power move. What to do with this issue? Well, we'll just have to wait and see. Now that Megas are leaving the games, hopefully not permanently, we have a new issue on hand. Losing both Mega Gardevoir and Mega Altaria is going to hurt. After their removal, a certain ability will default to the dreaded signature ability designation. When it comes time, their removals will be swift, and Sylveon will be the only Pokemon left to have Pixelate as an ability. And while that's frustrating, at least it's not as bad as Aerolate, whom, unless it gets added to another Pokemon, will be completely wiped from the game. Unintentionally, of course. Since Megas are leaving, a lot of these abilities are going to be missing, and using Pixelate as the example was the one way I could bring it up this late in the series. It's unfortunate, but the way to fix it is to bring some of these abilities back with new or old Pokemon so it doesn't end up like the ability Cacophony. It's hard to consistently come up with benefits that aren't overpowered, and unfortunately this one is probably my most overpowered to date. See, I feel like fairies have the best lore on healing. Now, not every fairy type has a healing move, but let's say when a fairy type uses a healing move, they get 25% more HP healed back. It is only activated on basic healing moves, so something like Leech Seed or Giga Drain would not qualify. So it would need to be on such moves like Moonlight or Synthesis. Well, when I put it on paper, this doesn't seem like it would sound too bad, but then again, it would make the fairy type survivability insurmountable. I don't know about this, but then again, they did make Parental Bond Pokemon do 150% more damage through Focus Sash and Sturdy, so what do I know? Today's regional forum is actually using an example for one that was meant for Alola. We have Florges, right? Florges is a flower, and on Alola there were 4 islands, with each having their own unique flower. So what Grand Duke Louis did with this regional form of Florges shows that the flower that this line uses changes depending on its location. And since Galar is a new location, I feel like having a different flower that's unique to Galar would be a great change for Florges. Now, we wouldn't know its type right away since it's using the mechanic of the pollen of the flowers from Alola in the original art, but most likely it would always be part fairy type. What we can do here though is pick out its abilities since that's what we always do. I would say due to the geographical shift, it gets the ability of Flower Gift and get the ability of Adaptability since it adapts to every location in the new region with its flowers. Call that overpowered? I wouldn't be surprised. Florges is already good, but this would make her so much more relevant. But I don't know if that's a good thing. And the final ability of the series is something straight out of a storybook. Have you ever heard of the term, when you get knocked down, get right back up? Well, that's just what this ability is for the fairy type. It's called Pivot, and if any Pokemon with this ability gets hit with a super effective move or a critical hit, gets to boost its strongest attacking stat and its speed. Look back to all the stories that you've ever read. The hero or heroine in that story more often than not deals with a huge setback by being defeated by the enemy. But that's where this ability comes into play. You're pivoting the momentum into your favor when you're beaten down. So pretty much we have a storybook plot system all wrapped up into a great ability. The final new move we have for the series is going to fill a lot of the missing holes that we covered earlier in the video. The issue we're resolving is a physical move and a move over 100 base power. It is a great sounding move. That's because it's called Celestial Strike, a 110 base power physical fairy type move where the user gathers the energy of the celestial skies and space into some sort of sharp object. It really depends on the Pokemon on what that object is. And it strikes itself or the object into the foe. There is no recoil since the Pokemon will be using an energy blade or horn or something to use to strike into the opponent. All in all, this will help out the physical fairy types, not having to rely on Play Rough the entire time. And finally, our last new Pokemon concept of this series. Now this is a Pokemon concept that I think highly of and that I've been waiting for a long time, just like that Griffin concept from the flying type. That is a Pegasus. We've had many different concepts for a Pegasus over the years on this channel, and that's why we need to find another great one. I think Dark and Windy comes up with a fantastic design for this Pegasus here with Pegasaur. This concept is a fairy flying type, and that it has a celestial feel that I mentioned earlier, with that new fairy type move. The Pokedex entry states that they are said to be able to gallop across rainbows. They are highly regarded because of their beauty. Not only are they beautiful, but they are strong too. With base 112 attack, base 80 special attack, and base 97 speed, this thing can fly in and leave with devastation behind it. But its defenses are great too. With base 91 HP, 90 base defense, and 90 base special defense, it's going to be surviving a lot of attacks. With the abilities of Gale Wings with our new updated version of it anyway, Filter to give it some sort of defensive ability, and the hidden ability of Pixelate to make sure it's not a signature ability, this Pokemon would be a great addition to the Galar regional dex, especially with the moves of Celestial Strike, Play Rough, Drill Peck, Mega Horn, Rock Climb, and Roost. I feel like this Pokemon... Oh, who am I kidding? There's going to be a lot of people liking this Pokemon if it existed. Honestly, I don't really care about what the design is too much, just as long as a Griffin or a Pegasus make it into the game. That is my key wish here. But with that will wrap up the ways we can fix the fairy type and this series as a whole. If you have any ideas how to fix the fairy type, be sure to let me know in the comment section below. Best idea gets the storybook ending to the top. I want to thank you for joining me on this 18-week ride, and with Pokemon Sword and Shield coming out just at the end of the week, I want to cover two more things. My best moments from each generation, and my worst moments from each generation. On top of that, a few months after Pokemon Sword and Shield comes out, we will be looking at how they actually fixed each type, as we will cover every type yet again. So if you don't want to miss that or any of the events coming out for Pokemon Sword and Shield, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to start the climb today. And with that, I want to thank you for watching, and I hope to catch you back at the top later on this week as well, because that's how we do it.